Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. I'm Robert Scarpanito, your features editor.
Andrew Rotten, editor-in-chief.
Rowage Doggett, site founder.
Andrew Stretch, Fight Club editor.
Fight Club, but we don't talk about it in this
But
podcast.
this is a zombie Fight
Tyler
Club,
Durden?
not like the disestablishment metaphorical Fight Club.
Oh, okay.
We can talk about this one. I double-checked the charters before I came on today, and they gave me big thumbs up.
So what is your first rule of that Fight Club?
Slay zombies.
Okay.
Don't die. Don't get eaten.
Don't get dying lighted.
Yep.
Yeah, so we will talk about that Fight Club later in this episode. We're going to talk about the Dying Light 2 DLC, and we're also going to talk about some little-known indie gem, God of War Ragnarok, because we've been playing a lot of that too here on the show. But first,
I actually played a new game, guys.
Yeah, I'm proud of
I've
you.
been playing a new game.
I'm proud of you. Finally.
You took some time away from Fortnite.
Well, just watching Fortnite streams, not actually.
Well, no,
playing.
because Otten was done playing as Kratos in Fortnite and went, "Wow, guys, did you know they made a standalone game?
It's crazy. That's this Fortnite spinoff is pretty
Finally,
fucking
Kratos
good.
is getting his big break in 2022.
Wait till you discover Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, man. That's going to be a game changer for you.
Oh, I know all about Goku.
Kamiya Mama.
Yeah,
I forgot about
that's
that.
me.
Yeah.
Kratos
I will
is a
never forget.
Kratos is a very good Goku. Okay,
Yes.
he's a good Goku.
Yeah, Kratos is Greek by way of Norse Goku.
Who's a better dad, Goku or Kratos? I mean,
Kratos.
It's Kratos.
Goku is a negligent
Goku
father.
sucks.
Goku is most literally a dead beat dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Several
I
times
mean,
over.
that's a large plot point in the latest movie. Is that Piccolo has always been the better father to go on.
Piccolo's the dad. Anyway, Kratos is good.
Yeah, Kratos is pretty good. Final Fantasy XVI is coming to PlayStation 5 and only to PlayStation 5 for the first 6 months of its release.
That's right, baby.
Xbox fans are in shambles and sad about it. This has been recent news that came out last week where, I mean, it's not that surprising, like Otten had mentioned, because 7 Remake was an exclusive for like a year.
I'll say it was a year.
7 Remake
There's a
still
year.
is on Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, it was an Epic exclusive for a while after that. Like for PC, it was Epic exclusive, and then came to Steam. If I remember my
I think
7
you're right.
Remake.
Correct.
was correct.
Yeah.
Yes, if you remember the lore of 7 Remake.
Yeah, which I mean, this is kind of a shift because if I remember right, 13 was the first that was like PlayStation and Xbox simultaneous. 15 was the same. It didn't come to PC until a little later, but 15 was PlayStation and Xbox same time. And now, I mean, 14 was PC for a while.
Well, Sony's got to do something as the monopolistic Microsoft continues doing what they're doing with the industry.
Right?
The little guys got to fight back somehow.
Yeah, Xbox has Modern Warfare 2. PlayStation has Final Fantasy 16
for 6 months.
The overlap there cannot be understated.
Yeah. Well, my favorite part of Final Fantasy is when you get the tactical nuke kill streak.
That's right. Well, you know,
My favorite part of Final
just
Fantasy is
Bahamut.
It's Bahamut, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to go on
Final Fantasy is when you get to put on the cup noodles hat and run around killing enemies like that.
Perfect. Yeah.
Beautiful.
You have to go on a 70-hour kill streak to get your Bahamut because that's how long these games are. But yeah, I guess it's not surprising, right, to hear this news about Final Fantasy 16. How's everyone feeling about the exclusivity? Or Stretch, as a resident Game Pass man, are you
Yes, Game Pass
angry?
expert.
I mean, when it comes out, I'll play it. If it's going to hit PS5 6 months early, I'll probably play it on my PS5. It just, you kind of brought it up as well, that the multi-platform trajectory with Square Enix has been so weird that you could definitely tell, with a series that started on Nintendo consoles and went to PlayStation consoles at the jump to 64-bit and 3D graphics, to then go multi-plat to, now definitely Sony is lending them their credit card.
Right.
To help development costs, which is like, yeah, I guess if the games need that additional fund to look as hyper realistic anime hot boy as possible, cool. Hopefully, this one will have another banging Florence and the Machine cover to start off.
While they push a carriage.
But yeah, we'll see what that exclusivity is, how long that actually extends, what that will actually broach onto. Because as we said, what we've had, when Final Fantasy VII released, it released on 3 discs. We have now had Final Fantasy VII Remake release 3 times on different platforms. Fuck knows where the Xbox version is. But I'm assuming that it's going to come at some point, and if not, then that just seems weird.
Yeah.
I wish it would do PS5 and PC at the same time, but I think for Sony, they want to bring in money for their console.
Yeah.
So
they want you to buy the. I mean, I've said it before. I think a lot of people say Sony is the Apple of gaming, right? They want you entirely in their ecosystem as much as possible. And that's all their business decisions.
But the difference is their ecosystem is not as cohesive as Apple's.
No,
is.
that's not the cohesive. And the problem, like if Microsoft had that same mentality, they would have a much higher success rate. I think because stuff like Game Pass and the other consumer benefits that go with being in their ecosystem are way fucking better.
I think that's the funnier part about Xbox's approach is that instead of Sony has their bubble that is the PlayStation, and they want to drag as much into that bubble as possible. Whereas Xbox is well, our bubble's this size and we've got PC over there. Why don't we just widen our bubble?
It's a difference of approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem is it's a mentality thing. It's, they're so focused on their area. They're missing some really great opportunities.
Well, I mean, they've always we've got the prestige stuff, and nobody I think can argue that Sony's had a much better run of games released than Xbox has in a very long time. And that's exactly, they're well, if they can't fight us on that, then what's the point? I mean, if they always have the better games, then that's kind of Sony's thing is, can't do anything about it.
That's kind of that's been a funny thing to watch with all of this FTC stuff as well. How it's so clear how Sony is fighting this. We are premium. We're selling the most consoles. Our games are rated as the highest. You want to be on our platform, and Xbox is well, we don't really measure by consoles sold anymore. Which obviously they're also saying because they're well behind.
If
in
they were
sales.
way ahead, they would be talking about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
If they were close, they would be talking about it.
Yes, they would.
But it's just changing the game. They're, Microsoft looked over it and saw what Nintendo was doing. It was hey, that seems like there's less pressure over there.
Yeah. I think it's worth noting too that even after the 6-month exclusivity, I don't think it's guaranteed that we're going to see 16 on Xbox consoles, right? If I bet there's a higher chance it'll on Epic first. And then Steam, maybe. But I wouldn't be surprised if by this time, this time next year is around the time we'll probably have Final Fantasy 16, right? Because it's projected for a summer 2023 release.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet maybe it might not hit that. Or if it does, it'd be late summer, right?
Yeah.
And then we won't see a PC release till 2024? Maybe early 2024? And probably still nothing on Xbox, if I had to guess.
Yeah, we won't have Final Fantasy VII Remake on Xbox by then. We will have Crisis Core though, because why the fuck not? But that'll also be on Switch, so I don't know what Square Enix is doing at all.
It's a simultaneous release, right?
It's simultaneously on everything. The Switch in there is what the fuck are you doing,
is
bro?
What they're thinking is this was a mobile game. I mean, not a handheld game.
Yeah.
So it's got to come out on a handheld, right? Is that what it was? People are used to playing this on handheld.
Right. They got to play it on the train.
I don't know. It's they're weird. And then there's all those rumors of Sony wanting to buy Square anyway. Supposedly. But I mean, Sony wants to buy everybody if you ask, apparently.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure that both sides are waiting with bated breath to see what happens with the Active Blizzard thing.
Yeah. They would assume that they would probably push for it pretty hard. Yeah. Sony, that is.
I'm sure if Sony started making multi-million billion-dollar deals for Square Enix in the middle of saying, "Oh, I am so small and I have no money,"
Yeah,
that that it would probably change the conversation.
probably.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's comparing apples and oranges in a way, right? Like Final Fantasy is probably one of the biggest JRPGs out there. I don't think it makes as much money as Warzone.
Not even
No.
close.
Not even
yeah,
close.
for sure.
No.
But then, is the person on the whatever ethics board, financial wizard, gonna know the difference between a Final Fantasy or a Call of Duty kind of thing?
Well, I mean, are they really going to be talking about, as much as Call of Duty's made the headlines, like King's the real moneymaker that comes with the Activision deal.
True.
Yeah, the mobile gaming market.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I, as a PS5 owner, am excited to see Final Fantasy 16 come out, but I'm also like, it is kind of a shame, right, that other people won't be able to experience it because then the spoilers will be out there, and then
Not your fault they chose the wrong console, okay?
Yeah.
Not your fault.
that's
Should have released it on Ouya. We've been saying it for years.
right, because then there'd be no spoilers out there because no one would be playing it.
Oh, do we know if Crisis Core is coming to Stadia?
Well, and as Pokemon has showed us, that leaks never happen.
Yeah,
Never.
So there's no way that anybody would know about the game before it
Oh
comes out.
man,
that would be ridiculous.
No.
I mean, I did see one leak. I'm gonna guess that Ifrit is in the game. I don't know. I've heard it in the ether.
Oh.
But, like
You think
I'm
so?
not. I think so. I'm guessing,
Hmm.
but it's just based on the leaks I might have seen. Maybe.
Might be. You might
Wasn't
be
that
onto
in the
something.
trailer?
yeah, I was gonna say, bro, those aren't leaks. That's a trailer.
Yeah.
What about Shiva? Is Shiva going to be in it?
I don't know. It seems far fetched.
Oh, Farfetch'd is in Pokemon.
That's true. Do you
We're
want
not,
to
we're not
talk
talking
about
about
Pokemon
Pokemon.
again?
You, we're done with Pokemon.
Stretch is very excited for his Pokemon Day.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's this Friday. If anyone else,
No, I'm
is
playing it cool. I'm playing it cool, guys. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, you can't stop thinking about Pokemon.
He's him and his buddies are going to be making a bunch of Totino's pizza rolls and partying all night.
You know it.
That's right, baby.
Partying like the college days. Actually,
Yeah.
I was the head of the video game club in my college.
Why does that not
Shocker.
surprise me?
Yeah, right. And now here I am on a gaming podcast talking about video games. One of my proudest college achievements is the day that Pokemon X and Y came out. I rented out the one of the auditorium rooms and just put up flyers everywhere. Like, we're gonna be running Pokemon movies, ordering pizza. People just come out and play your games, whatever. We had to, as like movies kept playing, we got through like 6 or 7 movies. Like, we started at, like 8 in the morning and we went until midnight. We all had to like unanimously agree, like in the group, when we were all going to be taking like hour breaks to like go and like obtain food and stuff, because people like wanted to be playing the game, but they also wanted to keep all watching the movies together. It was the dumbest thing, but just the fact that I was able to keep like 50 nerds hostage for an entire day, it was powerful. That like clicked something in my brain.
So in a
Oh,
way,
that's the old convict part of your brain. Satisfied that.
so in a way, the auditorium was kind of like a big Pokeball. That
No, it was
you-
like a big box system.
I
right,
say, yeah, it's not a Pokeball.
it's a PC.
That's right. You were
Yeah.
Bill's PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have very fond memories of launch day shenanigans and just playing way too much fucking Pokemon. It's
Good
gonna be bad.
times.
Can we take a bet here on the pod? We'll regroup next week, but how many hours do you think it'll take before Stretch puts in one of our Slack chats that he's finished Pokemon Scarlet or Violet?
I'm hoping to
It's
beat
gonna
it
take
on
the
the day of
weekend.
release.
The day of?
Day of?
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
the fuck out of here.
Okay, so let's
Are you
say
playing for 24 straight hours?
Are you just going to span through the dialogue and just run around?
Well, because here
lot
was the
of
thing as
talking.
well. Yeah, I'm also traveling part of next weekend, so I've got to put in as much time
got
as
to?
possible. Yep,
You
I've
got
got to.
Okay.
like for his soul.
This is
There is no in betweens for Andrew Stretch. It's
I'm
go
just saying.
extremely hard or nothing at all.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, no, I do look forward to
This is
posting
dangerous
dumb
behavior, Stretch. It starts with
I do look
Pokemon, but
forward
where
to-
does it end?
posting updates throughout the day when I start first Pokemon, first 100 Pokemon,
Oh God.
gym
For sure.
badges.
You know
For
where this
sure.
ends, right? You're gonna be playing Pokemon, and then you're gonna be in the news about doing
Addiction?
whippets in the back of a Denny's. Like you broke it in, and you'll be back there covered in whipped cream.
Yo,
With the Switch in your other hand.
Yeah, Pokemon's there. He's got his Poke Walker thing because he's like, I've got to get in the walks or whatever.
it's like, take me to my
Yeah.
dream life.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you can't sleep because Pokemon Sleep isn't out yet.
empty,
No.
empty Ready Whip.
My
containers next
teeth
to him.
though, my teeth are going to be sparkly white.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's
Heard
gonna
it
be
first.
bad.
When that Florida Man news post comes out, remember.
But you were here first.
Right.
It's Florida man approaches car and throws in live alligator, yelling, "Pokemon, I choose you."
Well,
Yeah.
in a little more serious news,
A huge shift.
it's a huge shift, but id Software, their whole Doom Eternal music debacle, if you all remember, it was 2 years ago now that Doom
It was a
Eternal came
while.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the soundtrack came out and everyone was like, oh, this kind of sounds bad, like produced bad. And it came out that apparently Mick Gordon did not work on that final cut of the OST, and there was some sort of turmoil with how he was working at or with id. And then Marty Stratton released a long statement to Reddit that basically put all the blame on Mick Gordon, painted him to look like one of those, perfectionist artist type of people.
Yeah.
And then Mick Gordon released a like 50 billion word statement on Medium that was definitely looked at by a lawyer. To
He had
kind
the
of
receipts.
Yes, he rebutted all the
Right.
claims, had receipts to basically say that the people it did, specifically Marty, were pretty shitty. Is that a legally okay term? Is that a legally protected term?
It's okay. It's
Yeah.
as long as we say that is how he represented the conversation in his Medium post, then they can't say anything about us. So say
Yeah.
what you want.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, apparently Mick Gordon is, per his claims and per his evidence, Marty Stratton put basically really unfair deadlines and was kind of moving the target a bunch of times to the point where it makes sense that the soundtrack ended up the way it did. How could anyone deliver on those sorts of deadlines kind of thing?
They're saying that Stratton also attached his name to the soundtrack before they'd even contracted him to do it,
Mhm.
and then had someone else in the mix creating it, and then he's involved, and it sounds like just an absolute mess,
Yeah.
where he did not have the creative freedom that he's used to.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, that, and then you say they used a bunch of music that he had created just as kind of experimental stuff to find the sound that he wanted. He's like, it was never intended to be actually used in anything. It was just him riffing essentially.
Right.
It's like, wow.
Yeah, and I will never understand why would Marty and the people at id treat Mick that
Very
way.
weird. There's obviously more
Really
to the story that
strange.
we don't know.
Yeah, well, because it's when you think about consistently ever since Doom 2016 came out, everyone was there's the memes of oh, when the Doom music kicks in, right? Like Mick Gordon was pretty essential to making Doom
Yes.
2016 as cool and badass as it was. And I might have brought it up on the pod before, but there was that GDC talk that Mick did in 2018 or 17, I think, where he goes through the process of how he found the sound for Doom 2016, and it's really fascinating, and you can see blood, sweat, and tears, right? This guy put a lot of effort into finding the sound, finding the right rig, setting up his whole pedal matrix to get that dirty industrial sound going on. This wasn't just a one-off sort of Doom, whatever, I'll put some metal in there and be done, right? This was a project for him, like a true like close to his heart sort of thing. So to see him put that much effort into Doom 2016 and then be treated this way for Doom Eternal, it leaves a pretty bad taste in your mouth, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's weird that like you go from a game that has a highly praised soundtrack, right? And everybody's talking about it, and you're like, okay, we're doing a sequel, but we're not going to involve the person who created some of the most chatter about it. Like that is, I don't understand the politics there from like from a straightforward perspective. Like, why would you not want to replicate that again by giving him everything that he needs?
Yeah.
And also, why start shit when there are receipts? That's something that has continued to baffle me as well. We've seen it recently with the Bayonetta voice actor stuff, and this obviously has a larger like lead time to it. But once again, it's like, well, here's the receipts, and the people who made the most noise are also the ones that are the worst.
Well, and being offered a 6-figure sum to stay quiet and turning that down says a lot about like how much he cares about what he's creating.
Yeah. Like, I think there's a reason why Marty was using that perfectionist artist type of thing, because I think there's a bit of that's kind of believable with Mick, only because of how much effort he puts into his work, right? But then to twist that in a way to make him look bad, like he's the reason why we had these troubles with the Doom Eternal soundtrack, is pretty sleazy. Yeah, so
I'm guessing he will have no future involvement in the Doom series, unfortunately.
You think so?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, bold claim.
Hopefully, I mean, if he does not have any further interaction, hopefully that means that some other game series can be graced by his talents.
Metal Health
the worst thing in the
too,
world.
man.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it can hire Marty O'Donnell.
Oh yeah, and then two.
Forgot about
Martys
that whole
together.
saga.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I'm glad that this is coming out, that Mick put out this statement, only because I feel like since it kind of, is it slander or libel? I should know the difference. Slander, right?
Libel is written, slander
Libel?
is spoken.
There you go.
I think it was a bit of both.
A little, but since putting out, like, it put out its statement, it's kind of made, like, I don't know if they've necessarily blacklisted Mick. I mean, I know he's produced albums since then, right? So it's not like he doesn't have work, but there was that weird energy of like, oh, like if he couldn't deliver on deadlines for Doom, then why would I want to work with him, kind of feeling. But now this kind of clears that air a bit,
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like the difference in what's happening in like the job market at the moment. It's not that people don't want to work or that he can't hit a deadline, but when you make the deadline impossible, then it's hard to hit.
Yep. Yeah, especially when you put him in an environment where he can't even feel like he has creative control over a thing that is very creative.
Yeah.
Like it's music,
And it feels like one of those things where like Doom was more successful than they probably anticipated, right? Like, and now all of a sudden, it's a thing. Like, obviously, Doom's been around forever, but it was like, a new Doom comes out, it's all right, kind of for a while. It's like, Doom's still around was always a feeling, but Doom 2016 comes out, it's like, holy shit, Doom is fucking the best again. And amazing, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh man, we have to protect the thing that's making money. So then all the dumb fucks that think they know what they're doing come in and start trying to police what's going on when they're not the ones that had anything to do with the success, really. That's what this feels like to me. Where it's like, oh, we got to protect the thing.
An executive walking into a room saying like, so this creative thing you did was really fantastic, and we want to build a formula so we can do that exact creative thing again.
That's how these work.
All the creativity.
That's right. We need a percent of this and a little percent of that.
Yep.
And that's how you do it.
Doot.
Yep. Exactly 0.05% doot.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's going to take a long time though before we see any more come out of this. Because I mean, think about it. This was 2 years, at least, right, since the release. So, and everything in the legal system and court system works very slowly. So, I don't know if we're going to see anything like any developments anytime soon. But it does leave me curious about where id's next move is, you know?
Yeah, it feels like a bit of a black eye on the Doom series.
Yep.
At the moment, I mean, is it something your casual fans gonna know about? Fucking no.
No.
But it definitely sucks.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you wonder what else might be going on beyond just this one incident.
That, or I mean, like it definitely will make, I would assume, the people making creative decisions think about what they're doing a little differently, probably.
Turns out if you treat people like people when you work with them, less drama will probably stir up.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
I keep telling Rut that.
Yeah, I've been trying to get it through to him, but
it's okay. Rut, my Twitlonger will be coming out tomorrow.
Elon's replacing those. So.
Oh no!
Okay. You have to go to Medium now.
I'll have to pay $8.
Yeah, you gotta wait for the next version of Twitter Blue that creates giant lawsuits.
Jesus.
Our last bit of news for this week, Remedy has announced that they are working on Control 2. They are going to be co-developing and co-publishing it with 505 Games. Control is that one really cool game with the sick metal at the end of it.
SCP the game.
A little bit.
What?
SCP,
oh,
man.
SCP, okay.
I see. I know what you thought. You heard. What the fuck?
ICP?
No. Well, actually,
that's better.
That's better. That's much better than what he thought he heard.
Well, I was referencing the database of weird entities that people have been making online. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but we should probably move on.
Well, those also involve weird databases online, strangely enough.
Yeah. But Control, probably Remedy's most successful project.
Easily most successful.
Easily. Hey, how dare you slander Alan Wake and his fucking flashlight?
Come on.
Yeah, his
There's
flashlight
dozens
is the
of
greatest.
fans out there.
Yeah, there are dozens of them. I'm not one of them. But
It's
I'm sorry.
Control's by far their most popular.
But yeah, no, Control is easily the best game they've made so far, at least in terms of mainstream appeal, right? Like, I mean, like it's the one that's gotten the most like buzz. And I haven't seen sales numbers, but I'm willing to bet it probably sold.
Sure, it sold pretty all right.
Yeah.
And that's also one that's been re-released like 12 times and also on all the streaming platforms. And at this point, if you have not played and enjoyed Control, you are like, willfully avoiding.
It was in like a Humble Bundle once too.
It goes on sale pretty regularly.
Such a good game.
I think it was free on Epic at one point.
I mean, it's a pretty good game.
It is pretty good. I think I remember at first
some problems.
There was a little bit of talk about how it kind of underperforms, like performance wise, and on like last gen consoles or something along those lines, or like not the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One, But I mean, I imagine now, right? Like after patches and next gen systems, like powerful PCs, right? It runs pretty well. This is compared to what the original title had a less than 30 million euro budget. And now the sequel is having a $51 million budget. So almost double the budget. Yeah. Not necessarily going to mean double the size of the game or whatever. I mean, it's not always 1-to-1, right? But they have more money to work with here.
I wonder where they can take the story. Because kind of like you end up, and I mean, spoilers, you end up and you're like the one in charge.
Yeah.
So
maybe it's a new character and you try to take down
Jesse.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
God, no.
Maybe it's a prequel and you learn about her brother going insane.
That'd be the worst. Make me the least interested it possibly could. The worst part of that game is the stupid story they tried to sell about the brother and sister. It was so awful.
What about if it's the origins of the fridge?
There we go. That's a better game.
or maybe they open up a secret portal or something that breaks and it makes the whole world the tower. So now it's open world and you have to travel all around and close rifts and it's open and you have to climb towers to discover more of the map.
You just described Oblivion. the worst one. Patrick Stewart gets killed right away.
Maybe Patrick Stewart will be in this one too.
I think keeping the Metroidvania feel would hopefully be in the best interest, though. Making it like if they made it like a campus kind of thing, not like singular building, but like campus, kind of the same way that there was that slow expansion between like Arkham Asylum to Arkham City.
Yeah.
Like it was bigger, but they still kept everything as dense.
I mean, I was kidding. I don't think this game would improve at all if it went to like a full open world formula. I feel like that would
absolutely
ruin the magic.
Make it worse.
Because probably one of the best parts of Control is how much it fucks with your head and perception. Because like the areas are so small and dense that it's one of those things where like you look away from something and you look back and it's totally different, like within just a few seconds, right?
The atmosphere is so important. Just like, no, I'm not gonna say impossible. It's so difficult to get something that's really great in an open world setting. For what they want to go with, because like, it is creepy, it's a little horror-y sometimes, but
like when I think of Arkham Knight, which was super open world, the best parts of it were the story bits when it was all contained in small sections, right? I feel like that is the kind of stuff I want to see more of. Control, not I don't want a Control mobile. You know?
I was gonna make a joke. What if it's a kart racer? DLC Alan Wake rolls in on a little buggy.
Yeah, they mean control of your
I'm here
car.
for that.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, or maybe it's not even Control 2. It's called handling or something.
Just trying to keep your car and maintaining the lane. Don't go outside your lane. That's the game.
And you have to drive under 30 miles per hour. You have to follow the speed limit like a good citizen. Yeah.
Or your car explodes.
Dude.
Go watch Speed.
Like the opposite of Speed.
Yeah, exactly. Slow the game.
A Speed game would be fucking wild. I don't know how you do it. Be great.
Gotta be a way.
Probably
be a driving game.
One, but
yeah, I mean that could even be like a game mode in Forza, right?
That would actually be kind of funny.
It is a game mode in GTA.
Of course it is.
Of course. What isn't?
Yeah, I was gonna say what isn't.
That's also very true.
I'm surprised they don't have their own Pokemon yet in there.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to see GTA's take on Pokemon.
That would be amazing.
No.
Don't lie. You'd play it.
No.
It'd be like some commentary on slavery where you're catching people. Or some shit.
Like, no, thank you.
That's what it would be.
I don't want that.
Something awful.
Oh yeah.
Congrats, you caught a prostitute. You're like, cat backward. No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Are you? Okay.
Wasn't that just Watch Dogs Legion?
Oh,
Maybe?
shit.
I guess kind of, yeah.
Oh no.
A little bit.
Well, Control 2, we'll have to just keep an eye on that, right? Like I don't think there wasn't any announcement of like even a release window or anything, so we're just kind of waiting for more news.
It's the announcement of the announcement.
It seems like it was one of those like, boy, Alan Wake Remastered didn't do so well. It'd be nice to have some positive news about us coming out.
Yeah. Hey, Alan Wake 2 is maybe around a corner of a corner.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, maybe he'll upgrade his flashlight to like a Coleman lantern or something. It'll be really cool. So excited for it.
Yeah, Control 2 should be fun. I would say. If it
sarcasm
just does
is
more
terrible.
mind-bending weird shit, that's all. I'm good with that.
I want to be unsettled for approximately 8 hours.
Yeah.
Or maybe even 10.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's what $20 million would get you.
We also talk about, since we've talked about Chris Pratt a lot, the fact that Cliff Bleszinski tweeted out this week, keep Chris Pratt away from the Gears franchise, with the Netflix announcement of the I think it's a movie.
I mean, at this point, if it doesn't go to Batista, I think everyone's gonna stay away from it. Well, people are probably gonna stay away from it regardless. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Did you see the like sizzle reel that Batista put out this week too? Of
Yeah.
him, opening the crate and putting the armor on, and I was like, this doesn't happen.
No.
Well, the Netflix let Henry Cavill go, so.
Yeah,
That's true.
He has bigger Superman boots to fill, though. What's Batista doing?
That said, Batista's been in a
Stuber
couple
2?
Netflix films, so
Yeah, I mean, they're not making a Blade Runner 2050 anytime soon. He's not going to be in that.
Got Guardians of the Galaxy 4. Oh no, wait.
Oh, dang it. Let's talk about some games. Stretch, you've been playing the Dying Light 2 DLC.
Yeah, it's the Bloody Ties DLC. This is the first time I hopped back into the game since I played it at launch.
Now, literally hopped, right? And like jumped over and
hopped, jumped
Skidded.
over, did forward tumbles, had
Right.
a paraglider, everything. So the first hour was me relearning the fucking controls. I died so many fucking times. That was bad.
like fall deaths.
Oh yeah, 100%. No, it's like after the first like 2 hours in the game, you never die to the zombies. You die because you think, yeah, I can make that jump, and then you don't make that jump. But so this Bloody Ties DLC, it has a very awkward initial hook. It's just kind of like a, hey, we've been hearing about some Fight Club thing, go check it out, or like, be noticed so that you can get an invite to the main place, Carnage Hall. And they kind of, introduce a new NPC kind of shittily, and you've really got to bite that hook. The hook's not going to be appetizing, but you've got to bite the hook.
Notice me, senpai.
Yeah, once you get to Carnage Hall, though, the story is fantastic. It's, its own new area. The Carnage Hall itself is, they do the very basic thing of like, we've introduced an arena, and you've got like different tiers of challenges for killing zombies, multi-stage objective pieces, parkour challenges and stuff. And I honestly thought going into the DLC that would kind of be it. But there's this whole plot line going on with this other NPC that you met and his father, and like, his the NPC's older brother died at Carnage Hall, yada yada. So your main aim is to get to rank number 1 and fight and beat the champion Skullface. But you can either just like go straight through those challenges and finish the DLC, or there is a shit ton of side quests that are all interlinked and teach you more about the characters at Carnage Hall, this family. The father used to be the champion before this new owner took over and turned it from what was like a respectable fight club and turned it into like the blood, guts, death, like, Caesar thumbs down, you're gonna fucking die. The whole thing really reminded me of the Glitz Pit from Paper Mario, the Thousand-Year Door. I don't know if any of you guys have played.
Not in a long time.
Yeah, same. And I feel like a Dying Light 2 to Paper Mario 1000-Year Door comparison is not something I expected while waking up in the morning today. But
yeah,
hey.
it's a weird one, but it's that idea of like, so many games will have like we're going to enter you into this competition, and all they do is have you do the competition. That's it, nothing more. You're going to fight people in a row, and that's it. But the way that all of this other story fleshes out the tournament pretty much as its own character, and then you have the side quest where you're like getting the old champion's armor if you want to, or deciding if you want to be helping this guy to beat Skullface, or whether you want to try to get him to like leave so that he stays safe. That it's just a really solid narrative. It loops really well. It is its own, little sequestered away, tightly knit story, and they fucking nailed it.
Nice. So you're saying that it's a better story than the OG game?
Definitely, and it's only like a 4 or 5 hour story. So very, very tight knit, very small thing to get into, but absolute blast. I care more about, for what started as a really clumsy hook, I cared way more about all of those characters by the end of those 4 to 5 hours than I did for anyone in the base game.
Is it one of those things where if you didn't beat the base game, you wouldn't care as much about it? Or are these like totally separate, like
Totally
no
separate
connection
things.
and no blood ties to the OG game?
Yeah, it's its own totally encapsulated story off to the side. At one point, you make a very slight reference to the main character's sister, who he hasn't seen in years, and that ties into the main plot. But it's like you already knew that by the time you finished the prologue, when this would unlock for you if you just like started it as a brand new game.
Right. Interesting. Well, I'm kind of surprised, honestly, because I feel like the DLC sort of kind of went under the radar for me. Like it just kind of, like no one really noticed it. And then I'm glad to hear that it's actually like pretty decent and worth firing up the game for.
In all honesty, if Sam hadn't reached out, I wouldn't have noticed that the DLC was coming out. But no, it's a good show.
And when does that come out again?
That's out. That came out on the 10th.
Oh, wow. So that's how under the radar kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I still can't believe Dying Light 2 came out this year in February, right? Like it was.
Was that this year? God,
yeah,
this has
it was
been
in the
a
middle
long
of a bunch
year.
of other, yeah, like it was around Horizon 2.
Huh.
Was that this year too?
And yeah. And there was like one other big game around that time, I feel like. Because I remember that time also felt very busy, like lots of games going on.
That was like Elden Ring time around then.
God,
too.
you know what this tells me? The fact that we're also flabbergasted about all of these great games that came out this year. Can't wait for this year's quiz episode.
Oh no.
Is one of the questions going to be like, which of these games didn't come out in 2022?
Maybe. I'll like pick something from like late December 2021 just to fuck with you.
Yeah. That's Dying Light 2 Blood Ties, right? The DLC. You can grab it on any
Bloody
platform.
Ties.
Bloody Ties. That the DLC is out on whatever platform.
Bloody Ties. Yep, it's out on everything.
There you go. Yeah. God of War Ragnarok. On you and I have been playing a bit of it, just a bit. You're shaking your head vigorously. I'm just trying to narrate for the people at home who aren't watching.
That's right.
And how do you like? Is it as boy as you expect it to be?
On a scale of boy to dad, it's pretty dad.
So boy sucks.
What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, it sounds like you're saying boy sucks. Dad is good.
Well, boys got a lot to learn.
Well, so does dad though.
Dad does have a lot to learn.
He does. Yeah.
But what dad has to teach to boy is don't fucking die, and I'm going to teach you how not to die. So I feel like what dad has to teach is pretty important.
Yeah, but boy is also
immediate. What boy has to teach is long-term goals.
Yeah, well,
my dad taught me not to run into traffic as well. So
exactly, dad teaches boy don't die, and boy teaches dad how to live.
That's right.
That's the story of God of War Ragnarok.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
It sounds like this discussion is trying to get around some fictitious DMCA filter. What the fuck is going on?
No, Ragnarok's pretty good. Pretty good.
That's it. Thanks for listening to our show.
Pretty good. So far, I'm like 13, 14 hours in or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of new in terms of how you engage with the game. There's plenty of new story, plenty of new things going on. The world, like everything that's happening in the game is exponentially bigger than the first one, but it still is very, like, I don't think I've run across a new move yet. Genuinely.
Like a new combat move?
Yeah, something like that you need to do. I was just thinking about that right before we started talking about it. I was like, I don't know if there's any. I'm probably wrong, but
so what I feel like is they've retooled the combat a little bit, so it's like it's simultaneously less complicated, but also they give you more options.
You can do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like I remember in the first game, so you had those runic attacks, which are like special abilities that have like a really fucking long cooldown. Yeah. And one of them for the Chaos Blades was like you hook into someone and you pull yourself toward them. And it was like, okay, that's really neat, but I never used it in the first game because it has like a 80-second cooldown or some shit. Like that's just not useful. And in Ragnarok, they've just said, okay, if you just normally hook into someone and hold down the button, you
I guess
like you jet right to them, right? So
now it's just an ability.
Yeah, now it's not even a cooldown. It's like that's
so you get to thwip at people like Spider-Man.
Yes, you can pull yourself toward them, or if you don't hold it down, you pull them to you. So it's Devil May Cry and
Spider-Man or Scorpion.
Yes, exactly.
In general, they've definitely the chain blades have shown up a lot more as like little whip things throughout the game.
Yeah. Like one thing I really appreciate is that since you get the blades in the beginning, they actually incorporate the blades in all the platforming, because then they don't have to hide it, right? There's no like secret about the blades he doesn't have the blades, he abandoned them, right? So it makes all the platforming so much faster. Like there are some walls that are like too tall to climb up, so you'd either have to climb up it slowly like it would in the old game, or now they just give it so you just like whip up to the top with the chain blades and just like
It was on the podcast that I was talking about how every action character is just moving towards being Batman.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly so Kratos has a grappling hook now.
Yes, he's Batman.
Yeah.
And the chain blades at some point, I wouldn't be surprised if he turns into Spider-Man.
Because he do a big old swingy do.
I'm 35 hours in because I was sick while playing it, so I just had nothing else to do. And I haven't seen anything like Spider-Man.
Oh, maybe this will be for God of War, Resurrection, when Atreus goes back to bring Kratos back to life, and he comes back as Spider-Man Kratos.
Maybe, yeah. And he's younger and he quips now. He's not
he's just a Marvel character now.
he's like DMC Dante, but for God of War.
Yeah.
He has like a wig and he takes it off.
Atreus in the modern day, just with like headphones on.
They bring in Chris Hemsworth to play the new Kratos.
Yeah.
There you go.
But not Thor.
No, not Thor.
Yeah, Thor.
No, they get
guy.
That was going to be a funny joke, but the name totally disappeared.
Vin Diesel? Vin Diesel.
No, the other Chris.
Chris Pratt?
Yeah, Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt comes back as fucking Kratos.
But now I'm imagining Vin Diesel as Kratos, and that's because both of them are about family, just in different ways.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, what is God of War if not a Fast and Furious spinoff? In a way,
exactly.
I'm gonna need you to elaborate further for me on.
I don't know enough about I almost said Final Fantasy, Fast and Furious, to get into it.
Both. Should sit down and learn.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of what to say about Ragnarok without spoiling, because what I really enjoy about Ragnarok is the story, and there's a ton of cool shit happening.
Agreed.
Just like, hey, talk about the first 3 hours, 2 hours.
The first hour is fucking rad.
It is. I want to loop
first hour. That works.
I want to loop back to the Batman comment real quick though.
Yeah.
Because I mean, yes, he has more like quote unquote gadgets, but I think my favorite thing about where Kratos is now, and this isn't going to spoil anything. So he's like, in the first game, he's very gruff, right? Because he's a kind of broken man. His wife just died. And like now he's a single father who doesn't know how to be a human, let alone be a father, right? So he's just really like, he's having a tough time with it. And I feel like now, after his character arc in God of War 2018, he has a Batman energy to him. Like in his personality, and that he's very gruff.
He has his Robin.
Atreus is just Robin, I guess.
Yeah, Atreus is kind of like Robin, and he's kind of like Batman, where he's a man of few words, but like everything he says is very poignant and it's very curt and powerful.
Oh, it's that, or just Atreus will ask him a very earnest question, and he'll just say no, and Atreus like, well, I guess that's the end of that discussion. About like, hey, is it like cool to like kill your enemies or something? He's like, yes, of course, or something like that, and it's like, all right, end of that, I guess.
Right, and I think the writers have done a really good job of making Kratos like accidentally funny. Like he's not a funny person, but he's funny to laugh at. Like there are moments where like Atreus cracks a joke and it's like a really bad joke, and and then there's dead silence, and then Atreus says like, "That was a joke, guys," and Kratos just says, "Are you sure? Or are you certain?" Like, the way he delivers it, he's like earnestly asking like, was that a joke or not? But just the way he says it is
their relationship is great.
So that's the going back to Dave Bautista. That's the Drax humor.
Yes.
Like
There you go.
that joke went over your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
No.
Well,
very,
it's kind of over your head, but Kratos is just so extremely serious at all times. That's nothing else matters except we're being serious. Like, boy, you have to survive, you fucking idiot.
we're going to train now.
That's basically all that he is. You're fucking stupid. Like, you must live.
Yeah. So the first 3-ish hours of the game, I say let's end it there. So if you haven't played the first 3-ish hours, expect some spoilers. But yeah. Thor and Odin. Odin alone. Odin's
the best character in video games.
Odin is pretty good.
I did not expect. So this is skipping ahead a bit of what happens in it, but Odin shows up. You see Odin in the first hour and a half of the game.
Yeah.
You see, and he shows up at Kratos' house, and he walks in. He's fucking Joe Pesci from Goodfellas, dude. Just walks in
like he's an Italian mobster.
Yeah. Like this, the way, like I said in our Slack, I said I didn't expect Odin to be a fucking wise guy, and it was not making a pun on like Odin. No, it's like he's a fucking mobster wise guy.
Yeah, like he's the kind of guy who will say like, "Oh, what are you, some kind of fucking wise guy here?"
Yeah, like it's so good. Like he's just, I guess it's like I'm sure part of it was like he's so overly confident because he's fucking won in everything he's ever done his entirety of his existence, and he's got everybody so under his thumb that he can just do whatever he wants.
Yeah,
and that's how he walks in, just this confident. He's just cracking wise and talking shit, and it's not what I was expecting at all.
That's cool.
I expected him to be this big brooding asshole, and he's not that in any way.
Yeah, but he does fit that story. What I find so fascinating about him, right, is that all the stories you hear about him in 2018, like he sounds like a right prick, right? Like Mimir does not have a nice word to say about Odin. Even if Odin's telling the truth, he's using it to lie to you or something like that, right? Like no matter what quote unquote good you think Odin's doing, it's always to manipulate you. No. And I feel like that is such a believable trait with the way the actor performs this version of Odin. Because he's so nice.
Plays him. I gotta look up the actor's name. If anybody liked The West Wing, it's Toby.
He was in it, right? Yeah,
it's Toby from The West Wing. No. I can't remember the actor's name. I think it's Harris, but I can't remember his first name. He's so fucking good as Odin.
That's cool.
Like I mean, for context, like when you first meet him, so like 2018 ends with Thor at your door, right? Like thunder raining down, and then he pulls out a bottle of mead and it's like, can I come in? Like they're just having a friendly chat. And then Odin comes in and he just wants peace. Like he's trying to negotiate peace with Kratos. It's like, that's the kind of approach. That's the first thing you see of Odin. And I feel like that's super undermined any expectation I had. Cause I expected like right where it ends in 2018, it'd pick back up with the big ass fight.
Yeah.
But instead it was this introduction to character moment.
It's great. To back it up a little bit, where it does introduce you is Freya's still pretty mad. You killed her son.
Yeah.
And she's trying to kill Kratos. And that's where it starts. It's him just like, hey, we're having a day. And it's like, oh shit, fucking Freya's here, run. And like, because Kratos doesn't want to kill her. He's like, he feels bad. He's like, I don't want to kill you. Anyway, that's the little action thing that starts. So Freya's still pissed at you.
Yes.
How has Freya's voice acting been?
Very good. Excellent.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Excellent. Like the voice acting across the board is excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. Freya is
pretty great.
Like you see her later in the game too, and we're not going to say, much about that, but but everything she's in there, like she goes through some pretty tough character moments and it's all very like believable. And
her character is like definitely in the roughest spot. Like she's basically at the moment of Kratos, like at the beginning of God of War, the series. Like that's where she's at right now. You know what I mean?
Like very vulnerable.
In terms of like he's like she's like, I want to kill the fucking gods, like everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most brilliant things about the writing in this game is that in some ways it can feel a little bit like there are too many characters because there are a lot of
quite
characters.
A few. And they introduced some already. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and they're introducing even more. Yeah. But even then, what is so great about it is you can see parallels with these new characters into like different chapters in Kratos' life.
Yeah.
And this game brings in more of Kratos' past, like his older games, like the ones before 2018. So you hear more stories about what he was like in Greece, but you can tell that he doesn't want to talk about it because he's ashamed of that chapter in his life. But you see flashes of that old character in other characters throughout the game, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it's such a great thing because it's like since 2018, it's obvious that Kratos he's reflected more. Well, that was the point of the first game, partly that he reflected more on being a dad and what that means. And it's obvious that he's thinking about his past and what he doesn't want Atreus to be based on what he experienced. And that's a lot of what this game is now getting into, bringing up those stories. He specifically says as much at some points where he's like, I don't want that for him because I know how fucking shit that is.
Yeah,
and so you get some insight into his motivations, which are pretty great.
I gotta say, if you had told me back when I was playing God of War 2 for the first time, that in 2022 we'd be having a deep discussion about how Kratos has reflected upon his past since becoming a father and how that journey has shaped him as a god man, I would have been the press X to sex game.
Yeah.
This one.
He doesn't want Atreus to do that.
Yeah.
That's what he's teaching him.
It's just so fucking weird to be like, this is a different thing entirely. This is its own
extremely different
alternate universe.
Even in 2018, right? It was like, this is fucking weird. I mean, it was a great game. It's also fucking weird that this used to be the press X to sex game, right? Like, like it's kind of a interesting reflection of how much the industry has kind of grown up in a weird way.
10
right?
years from now, are we going to be having deep conversations about the latest counseling session that Leisure Suit Larry has had?
Maybe.
Dude, imagine a redemption story for Leisure Suit Larry. What a fucking monumental task.
Like he has to find all of his children.
Oh, I don't even know.
Oh God.
No, that would be like a Pikmin clone.
He just throws his kids at walls.
Yeah, we're describing that GTA Pokemon right now.
The wonderful 101.
Maybe so like the best moments of God of War, just like 2018, are those character moments. Like bosses are fun, they still have amazing set pieces and like cool shit will happen. Speaking of it, we're talking about the first 3 hours, you do fight Thor because obviously Odin tries to make a deal, and like, well, Kratos says later, he's like, I was genuinely thinking of it because the way Odin words it's like pretty fucking generous. He's like, basically, leave me alone, I'll leave you alone, call it good, we're done.
Yeah.
And Mimir's like, don't fucking trust him, obviously.
Well, there's also one other thing. If you read the journal, one of the things that clinched Kratos's "I don't want to take this deal" is that part of the deal is Odin says, "I'll also take care of my ex." Freya.
Yeah. So he said
Kratos
he was
doesn't
gonna. Yeah, he doesn't want Freya to die. She doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
So Odin did the equivalent of, well, we'll just take a roll of duct tape and we'll split Midgar in two.
Well, that's what Kratos and Thor do. They split Midgard in two, kind of.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, their fight is pretty fucking cool. It's pretty great. It is about as cool as the that first Baldur fight.
First thing I was gonna ask is like, is
cooler than that one.
Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty fucking cool because I remember like that first Baldur fight really sets the tone for like this is pretty fucking brutal game, and that Thor Kratos fight is about on that same.
Hell yeah.
It does the same thing for this game but bigger.
Yes, it's so, and Thor, obviously he's gonna come back in some way. The fight ends with nobody wins, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Thor kind of wins because at one point Thor does basically kill Kratos but brings him back to life, and it's like, I'm not fucking done with you yet.
Yeah.
And like
that part was so good.
He's like, I need the God of War to come out because you're fucking you suck so far.
Yeah, you're being a weakling. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Thor is very much that kind of guy. Like he's looking for a good fight, just a good time.
All he wanted, yeah. Because I mean, if you think of it from like the character of Thor, he's been the biggest weapon for Odin forever, and nothing has stopped him. So he's basically like, nothing is challenging to me in life. And the idea of Kratos who killed a whole fucking pantheon, it's like the idea of that he's got to be all worked up about that.
Yeah,
it's a fucking epic fight. The scene that got put in that one of those trailers of the Mjolnir and the Leviathan X clashing together in the air was even cooler in the game because other shit happens because of that.
Right.
And like everything about it was rad. Like it definitely sets the tone for the game. It's like, oh, this is already bigger feeling now, and we're just started.
But once I get done with Pokemon on Friday, maybe I'll start playing on Saturday.
There you go. See,
One thing I have seen that I do agree with is that I got it's the game's a little more hand-holdy and it's like figuring stuff out. I've seen a lot of complaints about it on Twitter. Like, there's puzzle elements, and it's like you look at it, or you're like looking at the environment, like 30 seconds, like, hey, go try that fucking lever, and it's like, I haven't even had a chance to look around.
It's not even 30 seconds, man. It feels like 10 seconds, and then Atreus is like, I wonder if that lever does something.
Yeah, give me a second here, man. Let me just look around. I'm just taking it in.
Hints in the options or something?
No, I didn't look, but I
was just part of it.
Reading around. Yeah, it's just
whoever's with you.
Yeah, it
stretches
annoying.
out.
Just outside of like cutscenes, just go in and set voice volume to 0.
No, you missed out on so much.
Spoilers, boy. Oh yeah.
One of the great things too is that Mimir's with you from the beginning, and Mimir's just the best. Well, obviously he's still with you.
Yeah,
and it's the best having him around.
I need like a Mimir voice for like a Google Maps. Where in between directions
it's great, just telling you a story, like
rattling off.
I love them now. They're like Atreus is like, hey, tell me the stories of how awful Thor and Odin are. He's like, all right, like here's the awful stories about them.
Yeah, like there's one dialogue in the beginning where it's like, oh yeah, there's this story and that story and this. They just like rattle it off in like succession, and Atreus is like, oh, you forgot about this one. They're just such shitty people, right?
It always ends with Kratos is like, shut the fuck up, I'm tired of hearing about them.
We get it, he's really cool and stuff.
But like all the returning characters are great. Like Sindri and Brock are still the best. They're doing a lot more. Sindri is in this, has been around more. They're doing cool stuff with them.
He plays a bigger role too. I feel like
that's what I'm here based on some stuff. I see like all the tertiary characters are getting a little bit beefed up.
You mean Lucius Fox and Alfred?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think
there's even a Wayne Manor now that you mentioned that.
There
kind of is.
Yeah, I feel like the characters that do come back, because when you think about 2018, there's only like 7 or 8 main characters, right? Like it's a pretty small handful, like of characters you need to care about to tell the story, right? This one has way more. Like I am still weighing whether it's to its detriment or not, because there are a lot of characters, like a lot, like almost too many sometimes. But that does mean the characters that do come back, they are fleshed out in a way, like even Kratos and Atreus, like, you spend most of your time in the first game with them, you still learn more things about these two characters. Yeah.
Well, like Atreus has changed so much because he's grown up and like a lot of things have happened. Like it's and like I was saying, like Kratos has changed too. Like it's obvious that the events of the first game have made him have a big perspective change on how he needs to deal with Atreus and like what his life is now. And it's crazy that it's that easily apparent. That's just tells you how good the writing is. Like it's seamless.
Yeah,
it's pretty great.
Yeah, I don't want to go as far as to say like it's one of the best stories in games yet. I think it's definitely one of the best conveyed stories in the game. I feel like the way it's delivered to you is excellent. Probably some of the best storytelling, right? I don't know if the narrative itself is going to stand up to the test of time, because I'm very curious about the ending of it. I think the ending of this game is really gonna.
Yeah, it's gonna. There's so many ways to go. Like the obvious that everybody thinks, oh, Kratos is fucking done, right? He's toast. They addressed that as much in the very beginning of the game. It's like Mimir's like, hey, quit worrying about that fucking picture of Atreus holding your dead body, man. Like you don't know what's gonna happen. Like he says it like right away.
I mean, it also sounds like in the first 3 hours he's already died and come back. So it's just like, what the fuck does it matter? What the fuck does it matter if he saw something later on when he dies?
He used Mjolnir as a defibrillator and restarted his heart.
Zap.
Just a little zap, a little touch and zap.
Yeah, everything looks so great. Like, not spoiling anything later on, Atreus isn't the only guy that runs around with you as Kratos. At points, you'll have different companions that have their own abilities and do things.
It's not always Robin. Sometimes it's Red Hood. Sometimes it's Batgirl.
Batgirl, yeah.
Exactly. But there's another spoiler I want to say, but I won't. But
right. Yeah, there's
that surprised me.
There's a lot in this game that it's like, oh, that's so fucking cool, but you can't say it because
that one thing I wanted to mention. I saw a lot of people saying like it doesn't look that much different than 2018 in terms of visually. And I'm like, there's certain
they use the same boat animations.
Yeah, there's certain points where it definitely does, but I think that just tells you how fucking great 2018 looks. But there's obvious moments that's like this is a huge upgrade in terms of graphical fidelity out there, particularly with the lighting and stuff. If you're playing on PS5, I should say.
Yeah,
I don't know what the difference is on PS4. Probably not a lot, but it's definitely a sequel, a big sequel. Definitely. I don't know. It's so hard to not say the stuff, the cool stuff that's happening.
Right.
It just does a lot of what 2018 did, but more of it. I don't know if I wouldn't know if I'd say it's better yet. They have at least maintained the same level of craft so far.
I think like coming right off of beating 2018 and New Game Plus,
that's good. Yeah.
I think the combat in this is better.
Yeah.
Because there's enough of it that's streamlined where it's easier to do the thing you want to do.
Yeah.
But there's enough of it that's wildly different. Like I think the holding triangle or mashing triangle thing. So what you can do is if you hold triangle with the Leviathan axe, you can charge it up and then your next attack will be more frosty and powerful. There are ways later on where you can charge it up faster and more seamlessly and integrate it into combos. And in the same way, the chains, the chaos blades, you can mash triangle to like start whipping one around in a circle. So if you walk up to enemies, you're kind of like a buzzsaw, which is kind of cool, but you're also charging up the flame of the blade and then you can do a big like whiplash.
I'm just imagining it like how kids fight by just like
it's kind of that.
It's like
it's the Simpsons thing. Yeah, it's like I'm gonna keep whirling my arms, I'm gonna keep whirling my blade, right? So there's that, and like that is enough where it's like it's a slight change, but it changes the pacing of the combat in a way, and it gives you these options where like you can do some pretty cool shit pretty quickly.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of tools very quickly too. Like pretty much right away, you've got the axe and the chaos blades, and
that's cool.
So go to town.
So they don't do the like, oh, all of your equipment got lost or stolen kind of thing.
Really, you could do like a ton of shit like right off the bat.
Yeah, the most they do is they say because of Fimbulwinter, a lot of magic and stuff has like decayed, or like your axe isn't in great condition anymore, so you have to re-upgrade it.
Okay.
But in terms of like this game assumes that you 100%ed 2018. They talk about how like, oh, you beat all the Valkyries and you did all the things. So they just assume, okay, you did everything. Like Kratos and Atreus did everything.
That. I couldn't beat the final Valkyrie, so I'll take a narrative win.
Yeah.
It can't be counted.
Yeah, it counts. It does.
She sucked. That was
one thing.
Now that fight.
Stretch mentions that I have not seen a single, and maybe I don't know why it hasn't popped up, a single trophy pop up for me yet.
Yeah, I feel like the trophies are sparse. Like I'm 30 hours in, and I've only gotten like 30% of the trophies.
I also saw something like none of the trophies are difficulty related.
Nice.
Yeah,
which is just like
I like the way they describe the difficulty levels too.
I'll
when you first start. Yeah, and they have quite a few. They have like 5 of them. Decent amount of them to choose from. So it's quite the.
But you can only choose the hardest one, like when you start a game. Like you can't, and then when you choose that one, you can't change it.
Oh, okay.
While you're playing, yeah. So you're like locked into the hardest of hard difficulties if you choose that. Yeah. But no, Ragnarok is very good.
It has me excited for it.
I want to go play it like right now. I want to just like get up and.
Yeah, I'd rather be doing that right now than talking to you three.
Well, then how about, I think that's a great, like just great.
It's a good little cut. Yeah.
Take us away, Scrappy.
This is the part of the podcast where you just hear a whole bunch of like Discord disconnect noises in a row.
Yeah. Before we do wrap up, I do want to give a little bit of a tease. We are actually going to be interviewing the voice actress for Freya, Danielle Bisutti.
And yet I gave you guys a hook 20 minutes ago and you said
nothing. I know.
But yeah, I wanted to save it for the end A little tease for the real fans who would stick around, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that. You can expect that later this week. We hope it'll be pretty cool. We haven't actually done it yet at the time of this recording.
Yeah, we do it in a couple hours.
Still has a chance to be terrible.
Thanks.
Nope, not our
Put that
side, just
energy
you
out there.
guys.
Shut up, Brett.
And if you did like this show,
I never say anything that bad about you. How dare you?
Yeah, you
why
love
you so mean?
Right.
It's okay. We can add it to our twit longer.
That's right. I like that it's ours now.
Yeah.
First it was yours.
If you
He's
enjoyed
gonna
the show,
collectively bargain.
please feel free to leave a
Scrappy
review.
will let you finish.
Either on Twitter, you can do a twit longer to leave a review for us. We'd really appreciate that. I'm sure Elon Musk would appreciate it as well. And you can do it either verified or not. We don't care. It's his $8. Or you can share the show with your friends, let them know, or you can hit the subscribe button if you haven't to get every new episode every week. You can also hit us up on all of our socials, join the conversation. We're going to be tweeting more often about kind of like, what we're going to talk about in the show. So feel free to join the conversation there. We might read out some of your tweets during the show, so that could be a lot of fun. And you can also check out TechRaptor.net for more gaming news, features, reviews, etc. throughout the week. But if you want more of this show, stick around. We will be back next Monday. We'll see you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.